Assalamu alaikum, this is Megan Wyatt answering your question here at About Islam. I'm sorry to hear that right now one of the tests that you are going through is the loss of your husband, the loss of your marriage through divorce, and sitting with a lot of really uncomfortable feelings, probably some questions, just wondering where exactly did things go wrong? What could you have both done to make things better? Hindsight is definitely 2020. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assist you and help you in the challenge that you are going through right now. First of all, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you patience as you go through the test that you are facing, which is that after many years of marriage, your husband decided to divorce you over the phone, pretty much without any warning that this is exactly what he was thinking about doing, that this was on his mind, that this was something that he was leaning towards. I think it was clear to both of you that you were struggling with communication, you were struggling in being open with each other, with being vulnerable with each other, with really getting to the heart of some of the tension between the two of you. But he kind of came out of the blue with a divorce, dropping you off at your parents, and here you are, and now what can you do? And I understood from your question that you really wish that you could talk to him. You really wish that you could get on the phone and really have a solid, real, candid, really open conversation with him, but because of the divorce process having started, your family is saying that you're not allowed to talk to him or that you shouldn't be talking to him. However, the time after divorce, when a man says that he would like to be divorced, when he said talaq basically, that period is still a time period where a couple is encouraged, if they desire, to come back together to work through things. So it's not supposed to be a time where, well, he divorced you, that's it, ignore him, shut him off. If you desire for your marriage to have a second chance, if you would like to reconcile, this is actually the time where you need to do that. And there's also the ayah in the Quran that discusses the fact that when you fear that two people are going to get divorced, you're supposed to actually stage an intervention. You're supposed to bring someone from his side and someone from her side. So in other words, somebody that your husband trusts and someone that your husband looks up to. And you also are supposed to choose someone that you trust, someone that you look up to, someone that you believe is going to support you in working through things. You're looking for two individuals, ideally, and it can also be one person, but just people that you both trust, you feel comfortable with, people that have your best interests at heart, that care about the both of you, that want to see this succeed. Those people are supposed to come together and help you guys communicate, help you figure out how to say what maybe you've struggled to say on your own. Elders or righteous individuals or people that have experience working with couples, whether that's coaches like myself or counselors or therapists, so many people, sheikhs and sheikhas, there's a lot of people out there that have the ability to help a couple sort of bridge that gap in communication and talk about some of the really difficult things that they weren't able to do on their own. So instead of being encouraged to ignore him or not speak to him, I would like to encourage you, since you would marry him again in a heartbeat, as you said, because you do love him, because you do want things to work out, I would encourage you to involve, the individuals that you believe can help you both sit down and have a conversation, whether that's in person or I don't know if you're far away from him now and it's impossible for you to be nearby each other. You can start out on Skype, whatever it is you need to do. Get some people involved. Don't involve people on your side of the family that are bitter. Hopefully he won't involve anybody on his side of the family that's bitter. We don't want other people to bring their stuff, right? Their emotions and their anger or their hurt or their whatever into the conversation. We just want it to be you two and two people you trust. And that really is the best step right now. There are some couples where divorce just blindsides them, where one person just goes quiet, kind of stops arguing, kind of stops pushing for things, and just things slowly kind of just, get easy actually. And then all of a sudden somebody says, hey, I'm leaving and I'm done. And what that is that they've had a process, sometimes months, sometimes years, where they're just slowly closing themselves off until they finally have the courage to say they want out. So divorce can actually become a good thing in a marriage, even though it's so painful to go through, because it gives both people the opportunity to know exactly where they stand and that things are really critical to the point that one person doesn't want to stay any longer. And so you've been hurting for a really long time. It sounds like he's been hurting for a really long time, but I'd like to see you two find a better way to communicate your hurts and your disappointments so that you both can learn how to take care of each other and honor each other. Now, all of that being said, there may be a chance that he's not interested in reconciling. He's not interested in having intervention. He's not interested in going back. And if that's the case, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the patience to move on and figure out what life is going to look like without him being in the picture. It may be that he reached a stage where he just feels that there isn't anything else you could do that would make him want to stay. And that's nothing against you. And I want to say that again. That's not meaning that you have failed, that you're a terrible wife, that you're a terrible person, that anybody should point fingers at you and blame you for the marriage not lasting. It may just be that you two aren't suited for each other. His personality and your personality, maybe you two just, you're not able to do the things that the other person needs. It doesn't have to be that you're terrible people, that one of you's at fault. It can just be that for him, even if you were your best 10 out of 10, maybe he's still not going to be happy. And the thing is, he's entitled to that opinion just as you're entitled to that opinion about him. And so I say that simply because a lot of individuals will blame themselves, especially women, because there's a lot of Muslim culture that says that if a marriage fails, it's because the woman didn't try hard enough, because she didn't do enough. And that's really unfair, because in any relationship, it takes two people to make it successful. It takes two people willing to work through things, discuss through things, talk about uncomfortable feelings. It's not a one-person job, but for whatever reason, women have often been given the task of making it all work. It's not just your job. So I really want to put that out there, that you could be the best of whatever you are, and he could decide that that's really not what he wants. So what I recommend you do right now is actually get out a piece of paper, and I want you to write down 10 things that you brought to the relationship that were really great. 10 things that are really great about you. You're not perfect. That's okay. Nobody's perfect. But I know that there are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with. And I could just see it in your question, even the way that you noted your husband's good character through time. You really tried to see his best side. I want you to see your best side too. I want you to write down the 10 things that you did and that you changed and that you altered and that you sacrificed and that you brought to the table, because your self-confidence depends on you being able to be fair in how you look at yourself and how you look at the marriage and how you look at your relationship. Does that make sense? So write that list of 10 out. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper at some point when you're ready, then you can come up with the 5 things that you've learned that you would like to do better if you had a second chance. 5 things that you've learned. And after you do that, I want you to think of 5 things that he could do better if there was a second chance. So this isn't going to be just about you, right? What are the 5 things that you really wish that he would have learned? Because if you are going to end up with that conversation at some point, you're prepared to have a constructive conversation. Like, hey, here's the 5 things that would have made a world of difference for our relationship from my perspective. And here's 5 things that, I figured out about myself, right? That's honesty, that's vulnerability, that's beautiful. But you definitely need to start with that list of 10. I want you to know that you're valuable, that you're a worthy woman, that you're a caring woman. And you know what? Nobody goes into marriage having it all figured out. Nobody starts off a relationship and they're pre-programmed to know how to do it, how to get everything right? Everybody's got cultural influences, no matter where they're from. Everybody's got to sort stuff out. So don't beat yourself up about that. Marriage is something where you prepare for it the best you can, but the rest of it is learning on the job. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you patience, do the writing exercise, hang on to that self-confidence and that self-worth, be constructive, be fair with yourself. And again, if you really want to fight for this relationship, now is the time period. Involve other people, involve the right people. And if you'd like to follow up, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.